The British agreed to leave some of their land to the Indians. This is the reason why the term reserve of reservation of the Indian reservation, which means to leave, is used. Today, the Native American population in the United States is said to be 2.5 million, or 0.8% of the U.S. population. Made up of 567 tribes, they live on 326 Indian reservations. Some tribes have occupied several reservations, while others have not occupied a single area on their own. Not all Native Americans live on reservations. About 1 million of the 2.5 million people live in protected areas. And the area of Indian reservations given to them is 227,000 square kilometers. That's about the same area as the state of Idaho at 216,900 square kilometers. The hardships of the American Indians began when Columbus landed in the West Indies in 1492. Early North American settlers depended on and worked with the Indians to survive. In Plymouth, Massachusetts, the surviving settlers celebrated Thanksgiving with the Indians, and Pocahontas, the daughter of an Indian chief, married an Englishman and became a celebrity in England. However, settlers from Europe increased and they needed more land. As they advanced westward over the Appalachian Mountains, the Indians continued to be pushed back. There were tribes that went to war with the British, but they were not enough. They tried to find a breakthrough by siding with France in the French and Indian War between England and France over Indian territory, but that also failed. When the United States reached the Pacific, they had no place to retreat, and since then they have no choice but to submit to the new nation, the United States. From England sending settlers to New England in the early 1600s to the United States in the 1900s, policy toward Indians went through several changes. In the early days, the British expelled the Indian tribes and negotiated and occupied Indian territories. Instead, land was acquired only by treaty, and private land sales were prohibited. In 1763, England decided to conserve resources in Indian lands through the Royal Declaration, which was the starting point of Indian reservations. The enactment of the Dawes Act of 1887 changed the system in which land was owned only by tribes. Land that had been allotted to entire tribes was allotted to individuals, giving them rights, and excess land was allotted to white people. This was changed back to tribal allocation under the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, but as a result Indian reservations were fragmented. The United States government created the Bureau of Indian Affairs to administer Indian reservations. Under federal law, land rights on Indian reservations are vested in the tribe, and Indians may have economic bases different from those of the outside world. You don't have to follow the laws of individual states. A prime example is casinos. Through casinos, Indians attract tourists, and there are Indian tribes that make a lot of money through it. Overall, however, the quality of life on Indian reservations is low. Short life expectancy, malnutrition, poverty, and drug and alcohol addiction. As the casino industry prospers, the gap between rich and poor is widening, and quality jobs are also lacking. Their self-reliance was also weakened in the harsh environment. The Native Americans who dominated the North American continent now depended on the benevolence of new conquerors.